I created my own school in college football 25, and I'm rebuilding them until we win a championship. Going into season 4, we're coming off of our first bowl win, but there's been a slight change since this is the finale. I'll still be playing every game, but not showing every play, because this video could go for 5 or 10 seasons as long as it takes for us to win it all. I mean, we're finally getting some respect in our conference projections, but there's still a long way to go, which is why it's nice that our sophomore quarterback Devontae Newcomb's coming off of a 26 touchdown season. What's even better is because we won a bowl game, we can finally recruit any prospects. There's no restrictions, and I feel like I have no choice but to send the house on this 5-star cornerback from Kentucky. I also found this Jim, who's supposed to be a running back with 95 speed. It could be super useful, and we only have 350 hours, so we can only go after a few players, a couple more 4-stars there, but mainly this 91 speed 6'5 receiver could be another big addition. I feel like a championship's still 4 or 5 years out, especially since our non-conference schedule starts so difficult this year, which is why my main focus is still recruiting, but we have 35 coach points to spend, and I haven't figured out how I want to do it yet. We could go down this motivator pathway, but what I've heard recently is it doesn't have that big of an effect as you would think it would, and that's got me questioning every rebuild I've done over the last 2 months. Just from a team needs perspective, what we really have to fill is wide receiver, a couple offensive linemen, and then on the defensive side of things, a couple DBs. But most of these guys on this team are pretty young. We'll have them for a few years, and Marcel Miller's a 90. That is a huge jump for a 5'9 safety that has normal dev, and surprisingly, he still has some room to get even better. Seeing that blew me away, but now it's time to play an in-state rival, Louisville. And I don't care what this screen says, they're definitely the better team. I'm not gonna fall for that and get my hopes up, especially since they'd get on the board first, and we haven't been able to do anything in this game so far, but this could be a huge run from Newcomb. He started to really help us push it down the field. We have to pick up this 3rd and long, and we weren't gonna get it, but apparently there was some pass interference on the play. Unfortunately, whenever I'm going through the highlights, Rylan Pfeiffer's not gonna get much notice, but he could if he gets into the end zone, and tying up the game right here would be massive for us, which we should do. This team might actually be better than I was expecting. I mean, we have competed going into halftime. We're completing that down to the 5, and I messed things up by taking a sack, which is why we're probably not going to get a touchdown out of this, but that's still a laser. Only being able to call the same play once per game is still in this series, so offense is still super challenging, but defensively, we've done a fantastic job, and we get another sack. Everything I'm seeing in this first game against Louisville has me super excited for the entire year. I mean, we're just going to step up, except we fumbled it, and I was trying to slide right there. It's been an ongoing theme that I'm just going to choke games in this series, so I'd be devastated if that happened right here, but they bring the ball in, and I don't know what else we're supposed to do right there. We're going to hopefully hit them down, or they're going to take it into the end zone. All I can say is this game is so rigged to make us lose, and on 3rd and 8 after they stopped us, I'm hoping we can do the same versus them as I lurked them perfectly with our 90 overall. From here, I'm literally just going to try to run out the rest of the clock. Duke Fowler is going to be able to pick up like 10, and as long as we can guarantee that we're in field goal range, we have the win secured in this game, which is all we need, but we just fumbled. I actually can't with this team. I am challenging it. And all I'm going to say is Rylan Pfeiffer is very clearly already down. Once they went to the review booth, the refs realized they couldn't rig the game, but we have to pick up one more 1st down in order for this one to be over, and I'm just throwing it away. Unfortunately for us, Louisville is going to have a chance to respond. We better not miss this field goal. I just can't. I choke every single game, and that's what's made this rebuild with Southern Kentucky so difficult to pull off. Just so you all know, this video could be going on for a while, but we could also send it to overtime, which would be pretty sweet, and we are. That's actually not the worst thing that could have happened, and we've won the toss, so I want to start on defense. My plan is to just go for 2 after this drive, assuming they get in, but they might not. It's now 3rd and goal. They're throwing it through the air, and they're going to hit this pass. My plan is very simple, if we can even get into the end zone, but that's a challenge in itself because this offensive line still needs some work. There's been a reason that we have struggled offensively throughout this entire game. What I might have to do is just scramble for a ton with Newcomb. That cut was so clean. All we have to do is get into the end zone right here, and I'll feel so confident with that pitch. We are going to juke our way in. And that's not even the best part. We are putting sophomore wide receiver Nick Smith on a jet touch pass to take down Louisville, and with his speed, he is going to be short. There you have it. We have lost to the Cardinals. And I'm not saying I expected us to win, but I thought we were going to pull that off. By the time we get to season 6 or 7 in this video, I might have just lost my mind. So it's a good thing only one player wants to transfer out at the moment, and we've also never beaten Kentucky. That'd be awesome if we could pull that off. We're in the lead for the 5-star against them. We're starting to pull away on some of these guys too. It's time to switch over from all of these send the houses to hard sells. We really need to start winning some conference championships so our team prestige can go up from 1, and the time where we play those games will eventually come, but until then we have 2 more tough non-conference ones that I'm not looking forward to. I've decided that we're going to be very aggressive against Kentucky. I'm going for it on this 4th and 5 just to pick it up, and surely Ryland Pfeiffer is going to eventually punch this in. I don't know if we'll maintain this lead, but at one point we're up by 7, and believe it or not, by the time we're in the 4th quarter, I haven't choked it away yet, but I'm getting to the point where I might. I haven't been throwing interceptions this year, which is a good thing, but I've also held onto the ball for too long. On 3rd and 22, we're not getting it. So they have the ball back. This is 3rd and 9, and I think we have everything locked up in order to get it again. It would make sense for them to go for it, but instead they're just punting it back to us, and that bounce could be bad if we don't pick this up and get something. Well, that was quite the hit. Now we're just handing it off and getting nothing. But it wouldn't be my team if we didn't pull out the end around at some point, and this is bad. It's like we can't close a single thing out. We're not going to pick up this 3rd and 17. I'm not delusional. And even though our punter has a great jersey number, he's not going to be able to pin them back too far. The closer they get to field goal range, the more trouble that we're in. But now that it's 3rd and 18, they might not be able to get a field goal out of this. I mean, they have nothing on this drive except somebody open in the flat. I don't feel confident getting the ball back with a minute and a half left either, especially since I've already used most of my favorite plays in this game, and what are we doing? Poor Devontae Newcomb is running for his life every single time he takes the snap, but that was a good throw. And I feel so disrespected that they keep pressing Nick Smith. If this is on target, we're going to be in a great spot, but it's not. Now it's 4th and 2. There's a chance that we choke this and our drag route's open. Please just hang on to the football. This is way too far to comfortably hit a game-winning kick from, but we're going to settle for it down the middle. And can we come up clutch with Brian Hodge? I feel like that should be in, but it also might be short. Oh my gosh, we have done it. We have beaten Kentucky. And for once in this series, the Stallions are not going to choke. All of a sudden, we have a bright season 4 ahead of us. This was such a great stat line from Marcel Miller IV. And you're probably wondering how he won player of the game with no stats. Apparently he had 4 tackles, and he also forced a fumble with 2 fumble recoveries. I'm really starting to despise this hard sell period though, because our school grades are so bad. And we might not close out those prospects, but we have a real chance at Tennessee. They're 1 and 2, that's the only reason why, because playing at Neyland Stadium is still going to be hard. Let's just say that so far I have not been able to get them off the field, and it's because the refs have been so kind to them. That should not have been spotted as a first down. And this is the worst half of football we've played all season. My only hope is they just choke this huge lead. I don't see it happening, but we could have probably thrown something there instead of scrambling with Devontae. And I think what it all comes back to is we don't really have an alpha receiver. Like Nick Smith might not catch that. I mean, he did, but there's also been some drops that haven't been shown. And let's just say that point in the 3rd quarter was the closest we'd ever get this game. I don't even care if we catch it. It's been a rough quarter and a half for us. They have locked up. They've gotten in pressure on everything before we could ever get the ball out, and they can take their win. I didn't expect the win at Neyland anyway. One of these seasons, though, we are going to beat Tennessee, and I'm ready to start Sunbelt Conference play. This is what I've been waiting to do. I think this could be the first time in program history we make it to the conference championship, and that's needed since we can't pull away hard selling on any of these prospects. In fact, we got to schedule them for visits. In order to do that, though, we had to remove 80 points from some of these other prospects I'd like to land, so I'm not sure if it's going to pay off for us or not. All I know is they're coming versus Louisiana Monroe, and that's right after this game, so we better be on top of it. Now, I was hoping we'd come out on fire, but instead we're down 14-0 already, and we're just getting clamped. We might need to really focus on wide receivers in this recruiting class after we get through this first wave. I didn't realize how bad it was for us. But hang on, after getting that touchdown, we might be able to pull off a comeback. We have a chance to get into the end zone again before halftime, but no, we have fumbled it. I've taken an instant sack. And this might just be the worst effort I've ever seen from a left tackle. What's so sad is he's a gym too, but we haven't been able to come back throughout this entire game because of how we finished that half. And this is typical Southern Kentucky football. Thankfully, we are starting to figure a few things out. I mean, we're not going to recover multiple onside kicks and come back in this game, but next week we can put that into play. And that's all that really matters since we're going to have players on visits. The only issue is as we continue to lose, now we have 8 players that want to transfer. And Louisiana Monroe is 4-0, but there's no way we can fall. This is how we close out on our first 5-star in school history. We're also trying to get our first 4-star in school history. And don't forget about quarterback Sharif Lindsay if we land him, because he has 88 speed. One thing I have learned in this series is we're a pretty streaky team, so we need to get off to a good start. And that throw from Devontae Newcomb was so beautiful. I think we're going to be able to score on this first drive with a spin move. Jamar Ward is a new face at tight end if you didn't recognize him. He just went up the most during player progression. So he took the job from Josh Henry, and we've started with a lead. Approaching halftime, we have a chance to go up 21-0 if that is going to be caught. But unfortunately, it wasn't, and we'll still take our 3-possession lead. We've played really well defensively in this game. We're not going to get the pick right there, though. And as you can see, with 4 minutes left, this one's still not over. We're very prone to choking, so I don't feel comfortable with this lead. And they're even going for the 2-point conversion, which is kind of crazy, but we're not on it. I'm going to be sick to my stomach if we blow this too, though Ryland Pfeiffer has a a chance to get loose, and this has been one of his best runs of the year. All we've done is continue to run the ball, so I think we're going to be okay. But in order to lock that in, we have to pick up one more first down, and the jet touch pass is probably about to fail us again. Trey Ramsor went around everyone. If Brian Hodge can just drill this kick, this game is completely over. He is going to hook it right. I thought he was able to make that. This is actually disgusting, the way that we have just ruined our season by not being able to finish out certain ones. And let's see what happens on 2nd and 8. They're going to throw it straight to us. Rutherford gets the interception, and this game's over. I have never been more proud of our defense in my life. Assuming we get this run on 3rd down, it is done. And thank goodness we're not falling to 1-4 like last year. This is a huge win for us. We had a 5-star on a visit, and Gary Rutherford really came up clutch. That pick was crazy, but apparently he still wants to transfer. So I'm just thankful to see we should get the 5-star corner, and we've also signed both Sonny Liu and Sharif Lindsay. Keep in mind, we can probably put Sonny at both running back or wide receiver, and there's not many 4-stars that would consider our school. A lot of them have deal breakers, but there are a couple players we can scout. For our physical wide receiver, James Carney having 90 speed isn't terrible. This guy busted. And this is the only additional 4-star we can go after besides the few we have at the top of our board. When it comes to recruiting, there's not that much to look forward to. Hopefully we can win on the field again though. And since we still haven't played Arkansas State, if we win out, we can make the conference championship. So far, things are going well as we're about to score on our first drive, but we're going to have to get creative on this 3rd and 10, and if this is a good throw, we might have a touchdown. Devontae Newcomb has really taken his game to the next level. And what's interesting is even though we haven't had wide receiver Nick Smith because of a pulled groin, we've been doing just fine. We've had guys fill in that can step up, including a true freshman, and that guy would be Ben Remigio. He has 95 speed. If he catches this ball, he might have 2 touchdowns already. So this game has ended up being more of how I expected us to play, and we have to make this catch. If we score another touchdown, it'll be time for us to put in the backups. And literally everybody got to eat today. We could continue to make things worse though, so I'm not going to take my foot off the gas yet. I think we have Juwan Markick burnt deep, and then we'll put in the second stringers. The mass sub feature just isn't working though, so much for them adding it in. And I guess EA wants me to try and run up the score even more. Why do they keep on pressing our receivers? We have fast ones now. That's what's made this game so easy. They also hit our quarterback late, and it's like they want us to score again, getting an even bigger win. Keep in mind, this is already the largest win in school history by a ton, but EA just let us make it even worse because mass subs wasn't working, and this is a game Devontae Newcomb will never forget about. I also have to highlight what Rylan Pfeiffer did. He took it in for 3 touchdowns, and there it is. Not only did we get this 3-star linebacker, but we signed the first 5-star in Southern Kentucky history. Jamison Huber from Kentucky has 95 speed. He's going to be a monster at corner. And next up on the schedule, we're going to Coastal Carolina on the road. They have the teal field, and some would say it's one of the uglier fields in college football, but other people love it. And I'm personally a huge fan of it just because of how well we're playing at Coastal at the moment. We're breaking the tackle as well. So that's how you know we're having a good day, but we do need to get in on this 3rd and goal, and Rylan Pfeiffer's going to. I wasn't too sure about him at first, but he seems to keep on getting better. We're trying to get more points before the half, and that would give us an even bigger lead. We're on top of it right now. We have a touchdown right here if it wasn't underthrown into a pick. You would think that would hurt our chances of winning, but we are really playing well right now. I mean, we're about to throw for another tutty, and it's not like Coastal Carolina is able to score many points. We knew a time would come when our defense got so much better, and this is the first season we've truly had multiple games where we've dominated. There were signs it was coming though, and we beat Western Kentucky for the first time last season, but at the moment they're doing pretty well in conference play, so we have to do it again. I should also point out we signed another 4-star recruit, this edge rusher, but we have to start finding some more prospects to target. The problem though is because we only have 8 seniors to replace, I feel like we have to scout them before we go after anybody, so it might take a bit to find some prospects since we seem to keep getting bust after bust, and this guy's normal. It might be better if we just focus on beating the Hilltoppers, and being aggressive versus them worked last year, so that's why we went for it on this 4th and 4 that we're getting to pick up. I gotta say, our running backs are really the stars of this team, but so is our defense. They've had good week after good week, and we're gonna be able to step up and scramble for a lot with Devontae. I will say it's been kind of a boring first half, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that we can pull out a deep play here on 3rd and 17 if the blocks held for long enough. They didn't though, and it's led to Western Kentucky taking full control of this one, as right after that play, they'd score another touchdown, and they're getting in a free rusher right here. So we're just going to have to send up a prayer hoping that we somehow moss them and we come down with it with Markick. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it feels like EA actually wants us to take down the Hilltoppers. And it's too bad that we have struggled offensively in this game. They just got an interception off of that. Oh my gosh. They're about to run it back to the crib for a touchdown too. Come on, Pfeiffer. This is your time to shine. Catch them. Nope. All I can think about is the fact that I'm going after as many offensive linemen as I can. Juwan Markick has burnt them deep, and this receiver's the only reason we're still in this game. It is such a big matchup. I'm hoping we can get them off the field on this 3rd and 7, but they're going to step up and scramble. We should add a spy. To be honest, they've played us really well. We haven't been doing much defensively against them like we normally would against teams where we're pushing them back, and somehow we have gotten a 4th and inches where they're going to hit the kick. For a split second, I thought they shanked the kick, though we still have a chance in this one until this interception. Yeah, I had no hope running back there in the pocket. I want to be upset about the loss, but it's hard to be whenever we just haven't played better, and the Hilltoppers can go ahead and take their win. During our program's history, we are 1-3 versus them, but next season will be different, I promise. Kurt Dorr is only a sophomore, so we still have to deal with him for 2 more years, but our roster will be even better because I finally found a gym. The only problem is we could be entering the battle too late, and at the moment, we're just a mid-table Sunbelt school. With 4 games left, though, Arkansas State is definitely the toughest of those 4, so if we can win this, we might be able to go on a 4-game winning streak. In Season 3, we ended the year super strong. I'm hoping we can do the exact same this year. And it's been an intense first half, but that was a big stop. It's going to allow us to drive down the field and potentially go up by 2 possessions. With the true freshman hanging on to the football, and I could have threaded the needle to the back of the end zone, but I really didn't want to risk it. Instead, we're scrambling and going down at the 3. Having Devontae Newcomb with 90 speed is such a nice addition. And I remember our first 2 seasons in this dynasty without him. It was definitely harder to move the ball. Here on 3rd and 10, we'll see if their man-to-man coverage can stick. I feel like we're going to have the true freshman D. And between him and Nick Smith, I feel like our offense is almost unstoppable when it comes to our receivers. Once I got both of them more involved, it has really opened up everything on the field. While our defense has also been shining, and if they don't pick up this 4th and long, this game is completely over. Give us that interception easily. It's nice to see the Stallions playing like this, and there was no chance we were ever going to blow our lead. We just have 3 more games left this year now, and one of them's against James Madison, who has fallen off all the way to 2-7. We also just need Arkansas State to lose 1 more game, and we have the tiebreaker over them. But one thing we're really going to have to do if we want to land this gym-free safety is start guessing his hard sells, because we have no chance if we don't. Since it's taken a while to scout everybody, I might just be holding out until the transfer window. And that's when we'll make our biggest additions, because again, we don't need that much to keep improving this roster. As much as I'd like to say that we're actually in a really good spot though, we have struggled against JMU, and inaccurate balls like that have led to interceptions. We'd probably be down by like 21 points if our defense wasn't playing so well. And we're getting the ball back again with about 50 seconds left in this half, so we could still tie it up before the end of the quarter. What it comes down to though is how well our offensive line plays. And there's no hope when we're getting beat like that, but we might have one of our receivers deep, and that is Ramsor. Trey Ramsor's gone. It took an entire half, but we finally had enough time to get a throw off. And then they scored immediately. It's like the game doesn't want us to have an easy time winning at all. We should not be struggling against a 2-7 team, but we are, and that's another inaccurate pass. After the type of year Devontae Newcomb had, this is hurting me to see. But it's not over yet. We could still hold them here on the goal line, and I'd feel a lot better about this if it was only a 10-point game. Well, we'll see what they run on 3rd and 4. I was pretty sure they were going to get in a free rusher, but that's why we had Nick Smith on a streak. And they should have gotten in. That was a 6 versus 5. They had the advantage, but not here. It's so weird. Some games I have infinite time in the pocket. Other games I have 0. And it's random which games those are, but it's going to affect us because there's simply no way we can still come back. Never mind. I thought we were going to drop that ball. I'm actually underestimating this team. And I can't believe I've been convinced to go for the 2-point conversion, but we did, and it's a fumble. Come on. I mean, what are the odds of that right there? They're running it on 3rd and 6. I stacked the box, but no, everybody misses their tackle, so James Madison's about to get another touchdown. Oh my gosh. I just had to accept our fate. There's also one good thing about the chair I use, and that's the fact that it's basically bolted into the ground. I can't like get up and be upset. I'm just stuck in this one spot. Marshall's an 84. And I take it back. We're going to be fighting just to make a bowl game to end this year. We also guessed right with this game time thing, but it's not going to matter. We're not coming back. And no matter what, we have to redeem ourselves versus Marshall. All I can say is we have picked a bad time to fall apart as a program. We're already losing by 14 points. And that's just the streakiness of using Southern Kentucky. It's always been this way, but we could still come out on top. For example, Newcomb just took it in for a tutty. And then we got an interception, but we still have a long way to go before we're in the end zone where that throw wasn't good enough. I'm also always super nervous about kicking it, even though I'm pretty good at making them. And to start this third quarter, I would really like if we could come away with a touchdown here, but it's gonna have to come with Newcomb's legs. He is about to get his second of the day. He basically just jumped over that player's head. He didn't lose the ball. And the run that we've gone on to end this game is incredible. This is on a third down. You're not catching it. So now it's 4th and 8. We're already up by 2 possessions, and thank you for throwing us the ball again. We will take it. I want it to be known I don't respect Marshall at all. We're going to go for it on 4th and 6. I want to keep on scoring more points because ever since falling behind by 14, that's literally all that we've done in this game, and our drag makes it too easy. At least we know no matter what, we are a bowl eligible team. But I'd also like to finish with a better record than we did in season number 3. I think Devontae Newcomb can get us there, but it does mean that we can't lose again. We already know we're not making the conference championship. We're in 3rd place now, but it's still important to take down Old Dominion. They're in 81. And there's the official signing. We didn't get the 3-star free safety. What we should be getting though is a home win to end this season. And even though we only scored 3 points in the first quarter, I think we're about to start this second quarter right. Approaching the end of the third quarter though, we are only up by 7. And the fact that they just got that throwaway out is nuts, but it doinks in. I thought they just shanked that kick, which would have definitely been nice. I'm even going to go for a huge play against this defense because I don't think they were expecting it as we catch it. All I can really say is Devontae Newcomb definitely has his moments. He put that one on the money too. But that's our true freshman wide receiver, Ben Remigio. He didn't hold on to the football, and this is probably going to be picked because we just had to get it out so quick. What was our line doing? I feel pretty confident in saying that they're better at tackling than they are at blocking. 3rd and 16 with all this time is a huge concern. But we clamped up, and now we're at that point in the game where we try to run out the rest of the clock. I am going to give Ben a chance to redeem himself by letting him take this jet touch pass. He is the fastest player on this roster, though he needs to make that guy miss. And all of a sudden, we've hit the 2-minute warning where we just continue to run it. We have now put ourselves in a pretty rough spot, though. We have to score because they're going to be able to stop the clock before they get the ball back, and I'll take it. Even if they do get into the end zone, they're going to have to recover an onside kick. I don't see that happening. This could be intercepted, but we dropped it. There's been a lot of mistakes in this game that could have sealed it before now, but we're fortunate that all we have to do is recover this ball right here, and that is exactly what we've done. Going into the bowl week, we're going to be 7-5, and this is the first time committed screens have popped up for me all season. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't been working in online dynasties. We've signed plenty of linebackers, and at this point, we might not get the 4-star receiver. It's also hit me that every single offensive lineman I put on our board was a bust, so we have signed none, even though that was my main priority, and all these guys are still bad. As you can see, we didn't make the conference championship, and Arkansas State did, but they lost to Texas State. When it comes to our season stats, Devontae Newcomb threw 22 interceptions, which is a massive step up from last year, and yes, they're all his fault, not mine. He did have a little bit more success on the ground. Rylan Pfeiffer was the main back, though. And then at receiver, our number 1 target was Trey Ramsor. Everyone under that just wasn't as involved. Your 2027 Heisman winner was a Clemson quarterback, and our bowl game's the Myrtle Beach Bowl against Kent State. That shouldn't be difficult at all. They averaged 26 points per game, and I'm sure their overall is also much lower. But what I'm worried about is early national signing day. The 4-star receiver did choose Ole Miss. And from a dev trait perspective, I need to see some elites and stars. We have star on our 91 speed 6'5 wide receiver. That's what I'd like to have. But I'm going to highlight Sharif Lindsey, the quarterback with normal dev. He probably won't ever play for us then and lose impact. So is our 5-star corner. That couldn't have gone worse for us, and this is what the playoff bracket looks like. But I'm just upset at those dev traits, so we're going to take it out on Kent State. I didn't realize it, but we are playing on the teal field again. And so much for the Myrtle Beach Bowl being in a pleasant spot. The field's ugly. After having to play on it twice in one season, I've changed my mind on it. For a while I thought it was pretty cool, but now I just don't like it. And I think we have to go for it on 4th and 1 to end this first quarter, which we're not picking up. Kent State's definitely made this a tough game, but before the half, we have a chance to tie things up if we can score. And the only issue is we have no timeouts left, so we're going to have to hike it pretty quick and not take a sack. What's crazy is I don't know how to hurry it up to spike the ball either, so what we're going to have to do is instantly just roll out and throw this ball away. And that'll at least allow us to get it within 4, assuming this stays in. This definitely hasn't been as easy as last year, but Kent State is a better team than Sam Houston was, and we're finally going to miss again. I was so excited. I thought we were connecting for a big play, but it just didn't happen, so now we're running the ball. And maybe that's what we should have been doing, considering we threw 22 interceptions this season. Ever since that realization, keeping it on the ground's actually gone really well, and Kent State's offense doesn't stand a chance. On 4th and 10, this is their last chance to be in this game still, and they did a touchdown. They threw for like an 80-yard one. I was counting them out. I thought we had everything locked. But no, instead we have to get a couple first downs, and we'll see if we can pull that off. I'm so ready for season number 5, but we cannot choke. And I'm afraid that we might. It is 3rd and 7. They instantly got in. And I'm almost certain if you watch that back, you'll see I had no chance to get the ball out, but they're going to beat us with the deep post route again. It should be no surprise that a couple plays later they would get into the end zone, but I felt like we had somebody deep, and we did, except I got hit. This is a typical Southern Kentucky ending to a game. They're going to break our tackle over and over, and we need to leave all forms of choking in this season. We can't do this again. I've had enough of it. It's become too common of an occurrence. We could still get it back, but if they hit this field goal, our odds of coming back aren't great, and I have about 2 seconds to make a read and get this ball out before I instantly take a sack. Here we go. What will we do with not much time left? I hit the wrong button. Let's just go on to next season. I'm not even going to make an excuse. I'm not going to get mad. We're just going to take it. And you all definitely don't watch this channel for the good gameplay. Like, I can't even explain where that ball could have potentially gone. It was just the worst throw of my career. And I want what Ohio State is doing to be us so bad, but I think it's a long way away. To make matters worse, our best free safety wants to leave for the draft, but we have a guaranteed persuasion chance, so we're going to have him come back. Why on earth would it be guaranteed? Of the notable names that we are losing, though, Deion Scott's been great for us at cornerback, Carmelo Overton's been at linebacker as one of the users, and Kingston McCarty never got his real chance to shine. The transfer window could be our time to shine, though. We can go after some of the top 50 prospects. These are the transfers that we're going after. As you can see, there's no juniors on here, and the main reason for that is these junior transfers would only be around for 1 season. Of the guys we went after, we're starting to get a lead on a couple, but I've also fallen behind on some others like this freshman center because Ohio State's school grades are just so much better than what we can offer. The same goes for this right tackle. We even guessed his hard sell correctly, but George is so much better, which means I'm going to be super thankful every time we get this screen. There's no guarantees we pick up certain guys, but at least we have added to our offensive line, and then at the same time we lost a defensive tackle. One thing I just realized though was we stole this prospect from Georgia. We've jumped Ohio State on this one, so maybe we can compete with the big dogs. I've officially signed a minor. That player could get me in a lot of trouble though. It might not be the best signing, so I'll just have to watch what I say, but of course the center flipped back to the Buckeyes. Just looking at the dev traits of these transfers, anything that sticks out like star on this corner is amazing. I'll take it for sure, but I wasn't expecting 4-star devs in a row. We even got it on a kicker, a tight end, and then also a tackle. I think it's safe to say the transfer window saved this recruiting class. It's the best one we've ever had because it's the first time we can go after any players, so of course it finishes atop our conference as well. Now with all these cornerbacks, my plan is to move some of them around if we have some other needs to fill like strong safety, and this is an interesting surprise, but Sharif Lindsey's best at running back, not quarterback, so we could move him there or wide receiver too. It'll really all depend what we do with Sonny Lou. He is 95 speed, and I think wide receiver might be a better fit for him. Now it's time for training results going into year number 5. I didn't put anything into the motivator coach tab, but we're still up to an 87, and I will take this. We've developed this wide receiver room really well, and somehow we're still not over the roster limit, so I don't have to cut any of these players, but I will cut this guy just because a 78 speed receiver's not doing it. It's also probably time for us to get rid of some of our options in our quarterback room just so we can bring in other players. And I've been cleansing this team of a bunch of mid, even if that means encouraging Kareem Bryant to transfer with his 84 speed, who was clutch for us at one point. It's kind of sad how some of that worked out, but we can prepare for season 5 now. We're just looking through some of these other team overalls. We should be at the top of our conference, but I think the fact that they're signing 1 and 2 stars drags their overall down. I'm really hoping this is the year we finally beat Louisville. I also see Tennessee on the schedule, which is going to be tough. And our number 1 goal in recruiting this year has to be finding our quarterback of the future because Newcomb's pretty much all capped out. That guy might end up being 3-star Jim Maddow, and he is field general as an ability. We've also found a few other gyms to start targeting. I think we're going to be able to land all of them, even these 4 stars. But that'll obviously be decided as time goes on. This corner is 96 speed, while this wide receiver has 95. We also had 400 hours to spend this year, so we could go after a couple extra players. But the real question is how we're going to do against the Cardinals, who are actually a lower overall. Even though it's a new season, we basically have the exact same offense out there on the field, but since we redshirted Duke Fowler, Ham's our new power back. I felt like it could be useful to our future just to redshirt a couple of players that probably shouldn't be. And we won't really know whether or not that pays off until later on, but that's gonna be a dot. Sonny Lou, the true freshman, brings it in, and he's shined so far in this game, taking over the Ben Remigio role, who's also been redshirted. We actually have a nice lead against the Cardinals, but because they knocked that ball out, I feel like we need to go for it on this 4th and 4, and I think we're going to be short. Here in the 4th quarter, we're still up by 10 points, so I feel like we're actually about to beat the Cardinals. We should have picked that ball. But because our players don't have enough awareness, they're going to get their 3. That was a tight kick, but after stopping us, they're in a position where they might score a touchdown. So we're going to need our defense to come up clutch right here. The play action kind of faked me out, and they had someone open. We literally had 2 players over there in a zone. A holding call also makes this a 1st and 20. I am in the business of choking. And I can't believe this is how our season's about to start, but there's only so much we can do. We are about to lose to Louisville again. I swear, this always happens. And they're just being smart about it. They're trying to settle for 3. We shot in that gap, which is going to mark them short. It's not a great chance, but we're going to have one. They shanked the field goal, and we could still drive down the field and get in field goal range ourselves if this is a good throw. I've almost seen enough out of Devontae Newcomb. He kind of makes me sick at this point. This is going to be a catch in bounds. And by the time we get up to the line, we're not going to be able to snap this in time, or we're not going to be able to snap it at all. Apparently, we are going to have a false start. That sent the game to overtime just like last year. And on 3rd down, I'm just handing it off again. I don't trust it. I will run the ball until we get into the end zone. It's about to come. But now our main issue is we have to stop them. On 4th and 8, they have somebody open. Now it's their next drive. I should never trust Tampa 2 again, but that's the defense we're in, and we're not making a play on that. Either way, we did. They're being forced to settle for a field goal, which they are going to hit. But all we have to do is score a touchdown to win. Whatever happens here, I am not settling for a field goal. We'll go for it on 4th down if we really have to. But I'm hoping a jet touch pass to Nick Smith can help us pick up the 1st down here. We're going to have some good blocks, and Nick Smith is going to help us take down Louisville for the first time. I got so excited I skipped the celebration, but I've been waiting on this moment for 5 years. And after a bye week, we're going to see if we can beat Kentucky too. At the moment, we're making a huge gain on Tennessee for this 4-star corner. We still don't have any of these prospects in the top 5, but after advancing the week, we should, and Kentucky's ranked in the top 25. I am struggling to balance out our 400 hours between these 7 players though. I don't know if this split is going to work, but I guess we'll just have to find out after this game. Playing on the road at Kroger Field, I'm not really expecting us to come out on top, but I know we can take down Kentucky because we've done it before, so I was expecting us to perform a little bit better than what we've done today. We're keeping it close, but the writing already feels like it's on the wall that we're going to give up a ton of touchdowns, so I'm thrilled that to start the 3rd quarter, we've driven it down the field. And even though Ryland Pfeiffer should have definitely caught that ball, we're tying it up at 20. Ever since then, though, we've been going back and forth versus Kentucky. That's how we're down by 1 with about 2 minutes left, though Ryland Pfeiffer was able to break a tackle. And if a missed extra point is the reason that we don't come out on top of this game, that's going to be so disappointing. Sonny Lou is him, though. He was able to bring in that ball. We're going to have it inside the 30. And honestly, just looking at the clock, we could settle for the game-winning field goal from right here. At the time, I don't think my brain registered how insane that throw was, but we're getting in. And I wasn't thinking right there. It was just pure instincts. We had our one open. We're going to take the sack. Kentucky wins this game with a touchdown. They have their tight end open up the seam, and they have no timeouts, but I'm afraid that they're about to drive all the way down the field because everybody feels like they're running stuck in mud. Like for a second there, nobody was quick. And keep in mind, I'm using like a 94 overall. That was just ridiculous. I've been able to get back to that ball before, but I also still might not be used to change of direction on this game. And they're trying to play us so smart by backing everybody up, so we're going to have to scramble instead. We still have 2 timeouts remaining. But we fumbled. Wait. No. I was trying the slide. I thought we were down. I'm going to challenge it. Okay, it was pretty obvious that it was a fumble before we went down, but all I'm saying is that should be a penalty because we started the sliding motion and then they still came through and just nailed us. At least Cutter Boley's a senior. We never have to see his face again. And that loss has no effect on how we do in Sunbelt Conference play. As long as we bounce back in this game, we're going to be just fine. Our tight end's wide open. And I'm super thankful we got him to transfer in. And I don't mind going for it on 4th and 2, but you'll notice who's in at running back. At the moment, we have a lot of new faces that are out there on the field, including Sharif Lindsay. But it's only because Ryland Pfeiffer dislocated his thumb for the quarter. It's made it so we have to pass inside the red zone, though, which has been a bit tricky. We're about to scramble in instead. And as much as South Alabama wanted this one to be a game, I'm starting to realize we're so much better than the rest of the Sun Belt. I'm hoping that we can dominate every team we face in conference play like this as well, but there could still be some teams that give us a challenge like last year. And I'm talking like we've ever won the conference before. This might be the year that Devontae Newcomb finally does it, though. It does bug me that I see certain players want to transfer still. I feel like we've gotten a lot better, especially since Nick Smith had quite the game. Next up on our schedule is going to be Southern Miss. They're in the other division. They're 2-1 going into this, but hopefully we can ruin that. We just got our first signing from Matt Owen, so we have more hours free to start putting on some of these other prospects. We might need it to schedule visits if we want to lock them in. And I'm starting to realize that we're simply not going to get everybody. What I am going to do, though, is since Tennessee is in second place on both of these prospects, I'm going to schedule them for the game that we play against them, and that's coming up next week, so that could be a massive upset. Before that though, we do have to go on the road at Southern Miss to see if we can take them down, and they've kept things kinda close approaching halftime, but we also have the ball. If we can just finish this drive off, we'd be up by 7. I'm gonna roll out, try to get some space with this halfback screen, but they weren't falling for it. It is 4th and 2, and our tight end's open, but he has to catch it. I've smart routed his route with the corner here too, which normally works super well. He has so much space to get in, and ever since that moment, it's felt like we've had full control of this game. They're gonna try to pick up a 3rd and 18, but they're not gonna get it, so kicking the field goal is the only way to stay in it, yet they shanked it. Either we could run out the clock from here or try to run up the score using the play action to get another touchdown against them. I think we have Nick Smith. He is gone, and that is what I'm talking about from this team. What a performance. As much as I'm still not the biggest fan of Devontae Newcomb, he's our best option at quarterback unless Matt Owen ends up having some crazy development. I'm also sad to say we're gonna lose this receiver to Clemson, and Tennessee jumped us on the center. We have no choice but to somehow upset the number 9 Volunteers at home, and I haven't forgotten about how they blew us out last year, so we're taking this one seriously. It being at home gives us a better chance, even though neither team's been able to score yet. We're just gonna have to throw it away, and we'll see if we can throw a laser on 3rd and 9. I think we're gonna get the first touchdown. It was about time the defense gave us something good to take, but the second we get on the board, you know Tennessee's about to respond to that too, and they're trying to throw a laser that they drop. I'll take holding the Volunteers to a field goal every day of the week. We also have Nick Smith deep because they thought that they could press our best receiver, and it just wasn't happening. That's what this game has really come down to, whether or not they think they're actually good enough to stop him. And all we have to do with a few minutes left is maintain our lead. They did score a touchdown on their last drive. They're about to get another. So we're not the only team that can beat them deep, and we are all over that 2-pointer. Now, as we try to run out the rest of the clock, I am really tempted to try and throw it because once again, they're being so aggressive with the looks that they give us, but this one is about to clamp us up. No, we catch it. That puts us in a great position. They only have 1 timeout left. So no matter what, if they get this ball back, they're only going to have about 30 seconds, though we might have the first with Trey, and he goes out of bounds. Thankfully, it's not going to matter. We're going to pull off the upset, and this goes down as the biggest win in Southern Kentucky school history. It was really more of a defensive and a Nick Smith effort than anything else, but I'll take it. It's the reason we stole this 4-star corner from Tennessee, and we're also about to steal this 4-star center from them. With this class, we should cover our need for most offensive linemen, but there are still other positions we need to pursue, and I might start scouting quarterbacks just to see if we can get another option. I thought I could get a gym at that position, but this was the best I could find, and I might as well just focus back in on the rest of this season. All I'm saying is if we're able to win out, we might be a playoff team. The only tough game left on our schedule is Arkansas State, and we do have that huge win over Tennessee. I mean, that is something that is far more manageable than I ever expected it to be. What it'll really come down to is whether or not we can take care of business versus every team we should beat. He was supposed to be on like an angle route right there, by the way. I thought he was cutting into the right. And dumb mistakes like that are how we find ourselves in this position, but that's a laser. I won't lie, just like last year, I'm throwing a lot of picks again. That's a flag. And it's against our own offensive line who didn't block the one player that got in. Sometimes I wonder how bad you have to be to cheat and still not get the right result, but I guess it doesn't really matter because we're going to have success through the air either way, and I might even be able to scramble for a touchdown here with Devontae. We have finally leveled up in the Sun Belt. Things are getting easier. But to be midway through the year and already have 10 interceptions, I'll admit it's not acceptable. Once again, it looks like it's going to be a race between us and Arkansas State to make the conference championship. And I would love to spend some of the 65 coach points in this architect tree, but in order to unlock it, we have to win 4 rivalry games. Since I had to replace Middle Tennessee State, the only game in our schedule that actually counts as a rivalry is Western Kentucky. You should be able to add custom rivalries with Team Builder, and you should also be able to set custom school grades. I just feel like there's certain things that they're missing. Setting the pipeline would be nice too, because as you can see, we lost this center to Tennessee and this wide receiver to France in the same week. Hopefully we still close out on these two. I have them coming on a visit against Arkansas State if they're still on our board by the time we get to that game. And we need to have a bigger recruiting class this year because we have to replace 15 players instead of like 8. Let's just take care of business against Coastal Carolina. At some point in this episode, we're definitely going to have to talk as well about why I ended up shortening this series, changing up the style of what I've been doing, because I at least owe that to y'all that have loved and supported this series so much, so that's going to come in one of the later seasons. I'm not going to forget about it. It seems like most of our Sunbelt games are going to be pretty easy to win from here on out though. We're up 21-0, and I'm shocked that we still don't have a full home crowd. I kind of knew that would happen by putting a team in Somerset though. There's just not that many people to come out to these, and we almost got another touchdown. I would really like one more to end this game, but I also have to be careful not to throw an interception, and I don't think Newcomb's making it to the end zone. 37-0 is still amazing. I think that might be our first shutout in school school history. And it's like every game he's putting up 4 touchdowns. We have a real test coming up though. If you look at the Sun Belt Conference standings, there's a ton of teams that are 3-1 in conference play. Western Kentucky's always a tough rival, but we're up to an 89 overall on paper. Players must be improving. And that's what's happened. Nick Smith started the season as an 84 overall. Now he's up to an 88, but he's pretty much capped out all of his improvements. I also just remembered that they changed it to where you can actually edit players' numbers. So Sonny Lou no longer has to be number 25 as a wide receiver. That was ugly. Maybe that new number change can lead to a breakout performance versus the Hilltoppers. And using play action, if this is man-to-man coverage, we should have a touchdown to him right here. Our offense has just gotten better every season of this dynasty. And on the defensive side of things too, we seem to be able to lock up, though we're about to give up a touchdown to them to end this first half because of my mistake. I thought they were about to run the ball right there. The computer normally does in that situation, but they didn't. So now the Hilltoppers feel like they have a chance that they really shouldn't, and this could also be picked. What's crazy is if this is cover 1, we can still end the first half with a score because Nick Smith is going to outrun that slot corner, but he dropped the ball. Our 88 speed wide receiver dropped the ball and just give us the sack. We got so unlucky to end the first half, but we do still have a lead. We've been able to stay on top as well going into the fourth quarter, but if we don't get this long third down, we're going to have to punt it back to them. So it's on our defense to come up clutch again. Here on third down, we're going to snag it with Damon Johnson. That was an amazing user play, but he's not going all the way. It's a shame he was not the one that got to finish that off since he was the one that did it. But the transfer still came up huge for us. I'm glad I moved him to safety. At the end of the day, the Hilltoppers weren't coming back from that. And if we can beat Arkansas State next, we're going to be 2 games ahead of every team in the Sun Belt. This is our chance to really make a name for Southern Kentucky. We have got to take them down. And we just secured our second commit, but I think there's still at least one player that's on a visit for this game. What we really needed was wide receivers though, and we still haven't signed any, which is why I had to take 55 hours off of this 4-star linebacker once I found this 3-star gym at receiver with 96 speed. We have to be going all in on him instead because 2 of our best 3 guys are seniors and we're about to have almost no depth, especially if Nick Smith went to the draft early. I'll also be looking for them in the transfer portal window just to get even more guys, but at the moment all I've been focused on is beating Arkansas State, and unless they pick up this 3rd and 9, we're going to get another stop. We're literally just dominating this game and I think it's going to keep on getting worse for them. I know we're still not ranked, but I feel like this is a playoff team, especially when you look at how bad we're beating most of the teams we face. This is 100% going to be our best season yet, which is why I knew it was coming eventually. We've moved up to number 22 in the country. All we should really have to do to make the playoffs is make sure we keep on winning. And that's easier said than done knowing how much choking I'm capable of. Pause. But what's really important is we pick up this 3rd and 16, and that was not thrown the way it was supposed to be. It's a good thing we have a senior kicker that seems to be able to drill about everything. I've gotten a lot better with the meter. So even though we've played one of our worst games this year, we're still in a pretty solid spot. It's always been our defense that we're super worried about because that's how we stay in these. And once we get rolling offensively, they're just never coming back. It was one of our worser performances throughout the year, but we've still been moved up the polls to number 19, and we need UTSA to lose a game as well. They're ruining our chance at getting an at-large bid, but I guess at the same time, we're not guaranteed to win the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Considering Marshall is an 86 overall, I knew that this game might be a bit tougher, but I didn't think we would be punting only up by 4 here in the 3rd quarter. They still have a really good chance to take us down, though that bounce on the punt was beautiful. Come on. We could easily get them off the field right here, especially since they're trying to go through the air, though they're scrambling for it, and we're still going to hold them short. The Thundering Herd are always one of those teams that I'm pretty nervous about facing. They're about to clamp us here too. And this matchup's basically just turned into a defensive battle where our zones didn't cover it. On 3rd and 3, I could make the mistake by pressing them right here, but I'm trying to be super aggressive. We couldn't get over to the ball. And I can already tell that they're about to punch it in. If we can hold them to just a field goal, that would actually be incredible, though they're breaking a tackle. And here we go. It all comes down to this. I hope they try to force it, but where's our zone? There were 2 guys that should have been playing that ball. He got a foot in. And all I know how to do is just block everybody here because they could be sending 6, but instead they're letting Nick Smith beat the press and he catches it. I don't like being in close games again. I've really enjoyed just blowing out most of the opponents we faced this year. But this is good for us considering we should be a playoff team if we can win out for the first time, and Pfeiffer is going to hit a speed boost to take it into the crib. That has not stopped them from driving all the way down the field, though. Our zones aren't covering a thing. And they're on the verge of scoring a touchdown right here. I don't expect us to cover it all. This isn't even a road game, so there's really no excuses. I knew it might be tough when I saw their team overall, but I figured we'd still win by like 14 points, and why was Ryland Pfeiffer running that route so slow? I mean, there's still 40 seconds left, so we have a bunch of time, especially if we're able to connect on this corner route. But I have to say, I feel like it's been pretty inconsistent whether or not we do complete those throughout the year. And I just realized we still have all 3 of our timeouts timeouts left, but that would have been a pick. I gotta stop calling that play. It fakes me out every single time. We're gonna have our drag to Smith. Somehow he is wide open. And I guess it wouldn't hurt to mix in one run, see if they're not expecting it, because Pfeiffer is gonna take it into the end zone. We're gonna improve to 10 wins this season. And we have finally beat the choking allegations. I'm also starting to think something I should have done a long time ago was unlock this tactician tree. We have 55 coach points to spend inside of it. And if anything, I'm just using it to make sure our defense plays even better with all of these stat upgrades. It'll be nice whenever that affects our overall. We even signed Dylan Coco over Kentucky, but as you can see, Alabama jumped into the battle on this linebacker, so we're not going to get him. I've decided to just look for more wide receivers, and considering we're up to number 16 in the country, we might not need an automatic bid to make the playoffs. Either way, we're easily locked into the Sun Belt Conference Championship, and Old Dominion shouldn't give us any issues at all. But before we finish the rest of this Southern Kentucky finale, a word from today's video sponsor, Prize Picks. Football has been back, both the NFL and college, and Prize Picks is still offering a free square with Caleb Williams for the entire month of September. On there, you predict higher or lower on 2 to 6 players' projections, and I'm personally pairing it with Cam Ward under 316 passing yards versus the Bulls because I'll be there watching it cheering on USF. You can play Prize Picks in over 30 states, so there's a good chance yours is eligible. And if you want to get some free cash to start out with on there, Code Board will get you $50 instantly whenever you play with your first $5 plus lineup. Remember, make sure that you play responsibly, and now it's time to resume using Southern Kentucky. I know we're playing on the road, but again, we've been performing so well. So the odds of us messing this one up are just super low. We're not going to blow our chance against the Monarchs to go 11-1. It has been a long 5 seasons. And transparently, I thought it would take even longer than this to get this good. But I think one of the biggest things that helped us is the coordinators that we've hired for this team. I brought them on so soon, and I'll show you all them after the game again, but pretty much they're maxed out in 2 different areas. So not only do our players improve better during the offseason, but they also get more in-game stat boosts. At this point, the Monarchs are completely done, but I let them score 7 just to feel good about themselves. And what a way for Devontae to end the regular season. A playoff spot still not guaranteed though. We're coming in ranked 15th. And the signings are finally popping up again where we just got a 4-star guard. We needed that. That means in this class alone, we've brought 3 different 4-stars to our offensive line. Especially since we're probably going to lose out on Ben, it would be nice to land this scrambler as well just because of his stats. I know they're good. But my main focus going into the transfer portal is this wide receiver and then also another one that was a gem. It's time to lock in though because we have our Sun Belt Conference Championship. And as you can see, at the moment, we're not going to be in the playoffs unless UTSA loses at Tulane. The current projection has that happening though, which makes me feel good. And considering Louisiana is just an 83 overall, we shouldn't struggle. To start the game though, Louisiana got on the board first, and unless we pick this up, we're kicking 3-2. It's raining, which is affecting our passing game a little bit. We've already experienced multiple drops. And at the moment, it looks like we're going to be going into the half down by 7 unless we can finish this off with a touchdown. This is simply not the time for us to play poorly. We're going to beat them off the line though. I just think they can catch up to the ball. So we'll see what we can do right here. It's man-to-man coverage. The drag is going to be open. I almost wanted to take the halfback wheel route, but that works too. I think we can get away with just handing this ball off, but they're all over it. And we only have 1 timeout left before halftime, so we have to be a little bit more careful than that. Devontae Newcomb is going to scramble for an easy touchdown. Getting stops is going to be the key to winning this game though. We can't pull away. And even if they don't get into the end zone here, which they do, we're going to be trailing, and with this 2-point conversion, I just have to hope that we can get the sack and hold them short. To be honest, we're not playing like we deserve a playoff spot, but we should still get one. And I feel like anytime we get play action involved, we normally have somebody open, even underneath. This is just another game-winning drive that we have to put together, except this one is far more important. It's our chance to win our first conference championship. And one thing you'll probably notice is we don't have our starting running back out there on the field. We have thrown an interception when we had to drag wide open or the zig route, whatever. Anyway, Rylan Pfeiffer's been on and off the field during this matchup, and that's held us back so much. We'll see what type of pass they make on 2nd and 8. I feel like we can lock that up all day. It really just comes down to whether or not they pick up this 3rd and long. They don't. And they're punting it back to us as well, but they might have just pinned us inside like the 5. Well, we're spotted at the 8, so that's not much better. We have to go 92 yards down the field in order to win this game. Going for the big plays with this team has definitely affected this offense, even though we can pull it off. And I feel like it might be the reason that we're struggling in this one. Our zig route will get open. That was what I wanted to read on the interception, but at least we got it to work right there, and they had a corner route open. We're coming back to it. Aggressive catching with Trey Ramsor. He's not missing that ball at all. I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident, though we might have an interception, and that's my fault right there. I thought they were in a cover 4, but instead they were running like a cover 2 hard flat. Come on. It's like Devontae Newcomb is so good and so bad at the same time. He misses a lot of passes he shouldn't, but there's no reason to panic. There's still a minute left in this game, and we can always throw it away. We cannot lose our first first Sun Belt Conference championship. We finally got here. We have been waiting for this moment, and there's a chance that it all goes to waste. Here on 3rd and 10, I think what I'm going to have to do is just take our flat to Otis and let him get out of bounds. As long as we're in hurry up mode, we can run the same play back, so we're able to call it twice. But that really didn't get us too much right there, and we're going to have our running back. It's a shame our offensive line can't block for too long. That issue should change after we get in these new recruits, but until then, we're stuck with what we have right now, and I'm going to burn our first timeout or our second one right here. I figured we could get away with that. I'm also going to probably step up and scramble with Devontae Newcomb because he's getting into the end zone. There is no choking with Southern Kentucky during this season, and this has been a grind, but we're currently in a spot where we should be in the college football playoffs. I'll run it again. They have just 12 seconds to get into field goal range. The odds of us giving that up are really low, and here on 2nd and inches, we just have to hope they don't have a deep comeback route or something. This is it. They can send up a prayer all they want, but the game is officially done. They didn't even try to go for the Hail Mary, and I put my heart and soul into this team. It's about time we won our conference championship. We couldn't have done it without Devontae Newcomb, and there we are celebrating with the trophy. We still got a bit we got to grow with though, and I forgot to show you all the coordinator split, but this is how they divide up their points, and that's why we've been so effective. They're both amazing. I am afraid because we've been so good, we're going to lose one of them though, and it's cool that we got the 4-star quarterback to commit, but what I'm worried about is if we made the playoffs. First, it's going to show us the Heisman winner. He was at LSU, but then this screen pops up and it's the Hawaii Bowl. I think UTSA ended up getting the 5th at large bid instead of us. They won their game. And never mind, it was Wisconsin that got the 5th at large bid. They finished as the 4 seed. That's really upsetting, but I guess we still have a chance to win our second bowl game as a program. The Rams are only an 81. It's also early National Signing Day, which means we can see player dev traits. This corner has star, the linebacker has star, Matt Owens only impact though for a quarterback, and this center's on normal. As for our other 3 signings, we have a right guard with impact, another right guard with impact, and then a quarterback with impact. It's really not looking too good at this position. Pretty much everybody's going to be the same as each other. And Josh Quarterman's the only young quarterback on this roster right now, but he doesn't have much more room to jump up. I'm just going to have to search long and hard during the transfer portal. And whether or not we win this bowl game doesn't really matter to me because we got snubbed from the playoffs. We got off to a really rough start versus them, but if we are able to pick up this 4th and 6, we're still in this game. It went to Sony Liu, the true freshman, and that is how you end a 3rd quarter. All I'm saying is they were up 27-3 at one point. And you can say a lot of things about this roster, but you can't say we don't persevere. It's so sad to me though that we're about to lose Rylan Pfeiffer because he's basically been with us for all of these years and he was finally starting to become really good. A lot of the faces that we started this rebuild off with are about to be gone. And here on 4th and 5, we have to make sure we pick this up, so we're going to hit our transfer tight end for the first. As we continue to push it down the field, I am going to chew the clock, but then we didn't snap the ball, so that's resulted in us getting a delay of game. I waited too long for a player to motion over. Now we have to hang on to this, and that really hurts right there. I'm going to step up and scramble. That's what we do best. I guess this is it right here. 4th and goal. We have the drag open. We're in the end zone. All of a sudden, I feel so much more clutch on this game than what we felt the last couple years. They're not going to get a field goal. And even if we didn't make the playoffs, this has been an eye-opening experience for this team. Now I know what's really possible with the Stallions. That interception is going to steal it, and we are even taking it back. Damon Johnson was such a good pickup for us. I've had a ton of fun with him, and I had a ton of fun with this entire team in general. I'm sad to see who has to graduate. I mean, it's not even close. That was our best season in school history. But I'm afraid what I've learned is if we don't go undefeated, then we're not going to have a good shot at making the playoffs in the Sun Belt. I noticed there was a hire staff button though. That means we lost our defensive coordinator. And I've been able to find like a mini version of what we had, but he still has to progress a lot. To end the year, we finished at number 17 in the country. I figured we'd be so much higher than that. Especially since we had quality wins. UTSA made a run to the championship, but they didn't win. As for our season stats, Devontae Newcomb had his best year yet. He still had a lot of interceptions, but that's over the course of 14 games. He rushed in for 10 touchdowns as well, while Pfeiffer had 863 yards. And I wasn't kidding whenever I said both Sony Liu was going off and then Nick Smith was having the year of his career. I mean, this was his best season yet. It didn't cause him to declare for the NFL draft early though. Marcel Miller IV is projected to go in the first round. We're saying goodbye to Rylan Pfeiffer, Ronald Moore, and so many other players like Trey Ramsor and Juwan Markick. Brian Hodge, our kicker, is another name on that list, and I remember Kevin Amatova. He didn't start as much later in his career, but that was our first class of players we recruited here, and we did have a first round pick. We only got credit for that too because we found him in the transfer portal. I'm going to look for other options like this running back that has us at first place. Besides him, nobody until rank 161 would consider us, and that makes me think I need to scout some of these players before we just automatically offer them a roster spot. From what I saw, there wasn't anything special about any of them, but I'm still going to target them, and I don't think it could hurt us at this point to sign extra players. To my surprise, we actually lost this athlete to Kentucky. And Tennessee has jumped us for Jimmy, so I'm not sure we're going to get the 4-star either. We're in week 3 and I still have no idea what his hard sells are, I have to guess. Which actually ended up working, apparently I guessed correctly. We also signed some of these 2-star transfers. And at the end of the day, it wasn't a great class of only 16 players, but we had very limited hours throughout the year. We also just don't have that many team needs anymore, but it doesn't excuse getting the 69th best class. And next year, we're getting the best that we can because some of our school grades have gotten a lot better. It also helps that we're a 3-star school now. We have some position changes to make. And that's after finding out that both of these wide receivers are star dev, which is great since all the quarterbacks we found were only impact. In fact, I might even throw Matt Owen at linebacker because of how bad his skill caps are going to be. And after training results, there's a chance that Jimmy's not even our best running back. It's almost like our roster's taken a step backwards in the wrong direction. It says we're an 89 again though. I'll take an 89. But it might be a bit inflated because we have so many points in tactician, and with 20 more coach points to spend, I'm going to make sure our wide receivers end up getting a lot better too. Somehow to start this season, we're not even ranked and we're going to be going at Ohio State for our first game. So if we don't beat them, that might keep us out of the playoffs again, but at least we know we're starting Devontae Newcomb at quarterback. He still hasn't maxed out his accuracies and it seems like some of his skill caps are rising, but I can say for a fact he's our best option, and it did pay off redshirting Ben because he's up to an 87. Of course, I've also started to focus on our replacements for next season. All of these guys are gyms, including these 2 receivers, which is great because Britt has 94 speed, Jocelyn has 93, and then this 5-star gym running back, Greg Hatch, has 94 himself. Smith is a quarterback, but he's not a gym. I still really want him. All of that high-end talent, though, with 4 and 5 stars is only going to come to our school if we can beat teams like the Buckeyes, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty difficult to do that on the road since they're so good. We have a new starting running back out there as well who's led us down the field so far. He just transferred in, but he just fumbled it on that run. Ohio State's picking it up, and we better be able to chase them down. I'm throwing the challenge flag. His arm definitely hit the ground before that ball popped out. You can see it. And that would have been a terrible way to start this game against Ohio State. Now I'm feeling a little bit better, but we still got to get in. My main move in this situation is just stepping up with the quarterback and running. We could always throw to our running back as well, and I think we have to be aggressive against a team like Ohio State, so we went with the jet touch pass, which is going to result in a touchdown. This team is by far the best one that we've ever had, but I still don't think we're that good if we're getting toasted on a 3rd and 11 where I shaded over top. And I can only play so well. At least with the option, Newcomb is going to be able to get a huge gain for us. I think we're going to do fine against pretty much all our Sunbelt opponents. This is the one that I'm super worried about. Obviously, we were not on the same page right there, but it doesn't even make a difference because going into the 4th quarter, we're up by 5 points and they have one option, and that's take a sack. Pretty much this entire game's just been a defensive battle, mainly because we can hardly see the routes on the field. But I've also been stupidly aggressive. I'm going for it on this 4th and inches as well, just to make sure we keep on moving the chains. Every time it gets to a 3rd down, there's a lot of pressure, but if we take our drags, we should be able to pick it up. And I like what I'm seeing on this play right here because we were just going to be patient the entire time. I wasn't expecting it, but all of a sudden there's only a couple minutes left in this game, and we're basically a 1st down away from taking down the Buckeyes as we're going to cut it up here and we're taking it to the crib. The transfer portal has honestly been our best friend in this dynasty because it's the only reason we have Jimmy Fucha. It's one of the only reasons our team is so solid. But once again, we just got toasted. No matter how well I've played, every time they've gone to that in this game, it's worked in their favor. And I think it's about time we try to hit them with some trickery because this is our one way to make a difference. We have a player that has 95 speed. Come on. The only issue with going out of bounds right there with them pushing us, because I made sure we stayed in, is this game is still not over, and with the counter run, I'm trying to cut it back. If I can make the correct read here, I think we're going to be chilling just fine. Devontae, get out of my way! I don't care that we just got caught on our linemen. We are not bringing that level of choke into this season. We're going to continue to have success, so we just have to pin them as far back as we can with the punt. And I'm also backing everybody up so they can't just toast us deep like they have on a couple of plays. I think that's going to make all the difference. Here on 3rd and 10, they have to throw it away. And I'm prepared to run back as far as I have to. I already know what side of the field they're trying to throw it to, but this time we were prepared for it. We backed everybody up, and they were not able to beat us all the way deep. Get the touchdown, too. Dalton B might have gotten toasted twice, but he finally got a stop, and we were just able to upset Ohio State on the road. That means it's even more crucial than ever before that we win out. Indiana's ranked. We play them on the road, but besides that, it's just Sunbelt opponents. I should also mention, we're already ranked inside the top 25, which we deserve, and all I want to do is avoid getting snubbed from the playoffs another year in a row. Even though some of these school grades are already up quite a bit, that'd be a huge building block for the program, and I think we're going to wait another week before we try any hard sells. Even though some of these players have entered their top 5, we don't know what their their interests are. At least this year we get to play Kentucky at home. I know they beat us, so we have come out looking for revenge, and after playing at Ohio State last week, everything's gonna feel so much simpler. We're up 17-0. Sometimes I forget that our best receiver on this roster is actually that 91 overall tight end, though our zones got bitten down here and they have a tutty. We were supposed to have a deep zone over on that side of the field, but once again our tight end's getting open, so it doesn't matter. It turns out this is what it's like to play with a really good team, and I've built the speed that I wanted at pretty much every position. We could make this defender miss as well, but we don't. I think the speed is what really separates this team from last year's though and makes it even better. We should be able to get into the end zone. I tried to hurdle, and this game's been over since the second quarter, but there's something that feels so good about running up the score. Kentucky's not considered our rivals in the game, but they're definitely one of our main rivals. We've played them every single year, and Devontae Newcomb might just go for a Heisman Trophy. You gotta think, after we played Indiana, we're just facing Sunbelt schools, so it'll be super easy to put up good numbers. But I have a feeling it might take a while to get noticed, though. If Jacksonville State can have a player up here, so can we. Now, when it comes to recruiting, to make sure we don't fall behind in these battles, I had to guess on a lot of these players' hard sells, but I feel pretty confident in what I guessed, and our school grades are still so much better than what they were. Especially if we can take down Indiana, who's a top 25 team. I think we'll have no issues getting a lot of those 4 and 5 stars. Indiana's coming out with a full crowd around them, probably because it's the one time their football team's good. And I'm ready for Devontae Newcomb to come out here and ruin all of their hopes and dreams, because we're about to go up 14-3 as we squeeze through the gap. I thought it was going to come a few plays later or something, but Nick Smith is really that guy, and imagine what we're about to do to Sunbelt teams. The longer this game goes on for, the more the Hoosiers are just struggling, because while they're barely scoring, we keep on flying down the field, and we're about to go up 28-3. I am so confident that we're about to as well, because I'm just going to roll out and then run with Devontae, who takes it in. So I didn't think it was possible for us to get this much better than last year, but we definitely have, and we should be able to go undefeated in the regular season. For whatever reason though, I still don't feel like we're on a championship level. I guess we'll see how it plays out, and we can focus in on some of these elite dev players like Boudreaux that I ended up signing, and he continues to progress. He was close to having my last name Bordeaux, but not quite. We are having a lead on a lot of these 5 stars too, which is great, but what's also great is I think I guessed all the hard sells correctly, because we didn't fall behind the second place on any of these players. After advancing through our bye week, we would sign both the 94 and the 93 speed wide receiver, and that frees up points to schedule a visit with these guys just to give us that last boost that we need. I guess we'll see how that plays out, and now we're taking on Texas State to open up conference play, who honestly seems to be pretty good, and since they're in the other division, we rarely have to face them. Even though we're entering Sunbelt play undefeated, I know there's no guarantees we're going to leave it undefeated, especially if we're going to have bad underthrows like that interception to start this game. But we're going to make up for it on the next drive by being aggressive on 4th and 3 and getting it. There's such little room for error. This is one of the best rosters we're going to have for a while, and I feel like we have to earn a playoff bid. That would just make recruiting even easier than it already is. This needs to be a good throw, but we know what we've been getting with Devontae at quarterback. Sometimes he hits his targets, sometimes he doesn't, and he did right here. I'm so glad that we redshirted Ben though, because we're now going to have him for 3 more seasons, and unless we face off against a team with super fast cornerbacks, I think everybody's going to struggle to stop us. The only real issues we continue to run into is Devontae Newcomb just not being as accurate as we need him to all the time, but then our defense makes up for it because they've been playing incredibly well. There's no way they get this 4th and 17. We're going to hold them to 0. So much for being worried about the Bobcats. We have not struggled at all, and what a performance from our entire team. Like I said, I think Devontae Newcomb could actually win the Heisman, and we picked up a couple more commits while losing this 4-star to Florida, but I don't care because we got a 5-star gym right end. We're actually setting ourselves up so nicely to have a huge class, and if we can get about 18 to 20 players of high quality, that's all that we need. There's still going to be a few tough conference games though, because just looking at our schedule, we have 4-0 Southern Miss on there, Arkansas State's always decent, and so is Marshall. This is the first of the few that I'm a little bit nervous about, but maybe I shouldn't be because we've dominated this game so far, and that's another tutty. Of course, it's Ben Remigio in the end zone, and honestly, at this point, I'm just starting to feel bad for what we're about to do to the rest of the Sun Belt. There was a chance. This was the second game in a row that we didn't give up a single point, but now that they've finally put together a decent drive, I'm not sure how true that's going to be as they have somebody open. I want to hold another team to 0, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But hang on a minute, here we go. It's 4th and 3. They're trying to scramble and they're not getting it. This is actually crazy. We literally just own every team that we're going to play for the rest of the year. That's back-to-back games where our defense didn't give up a single point, but Devontae Newcomb might not be putting up the best stats. Don't get me wrong, he's had some solid numbers, but I'm not sure this is enough to be in the Heisman running, unless it's also going to calculate whatever he does on the ground. I'd assume it would, but I don't see his name up here yet. Only players from Jacksonville State. And it's not like we're an unknown team by now. We're sitting at number 13 in the country. All we have to do is win 7 straight games and we're probably going to have a first round bye in the playoffs. But something has gone wrong with one of these 5 stars. Jared Smith now wants to go to Auburn. We can schedule him for a visit, but it's not going to make much of a difference beating up on a small school. So that's a massive L, and we can just take it all out on Appalachian State. It seems like our streak of holding teams to 0 points though is about to be over unless we can force a fumble somehow on this 3rd down. They're going to be in field goal range. No, their quarterback was still going. Just seeing how Appalachian State played on that first drive, which ended with a touchdown, I can guarantee EA makes us lose one of these games this season. And I was pretty frustrated whenever we dropped the ball right there, but we're going to have so many chances to beat them deep, and it's another drop. It's like I can't even punish them for coming out in terrible defenses. We're going to have to be smarter going underneath. But that's not what I wanted right there, and I'm afraid that they're about to hold us to a field goal. It took too long for that throw to get out. Also, I will say, it's not like we even caught the ball anyway, which is why I'm just thankful that to end this first half, we should finish it with a lead, as that's a jump ball that we're coming down with. It wasn't even open, but I've been wanting to throw that for 5 or 6 seasons. So even though he's having a rough game for us, Nick Smith came up clutch, and yeah, we're not getting this either. I guess what it's going to take to have a competitive game with us is what I thought, good DBs and then rain as well. It's not a good combo. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. They have not scored since that first drive, and we're just closing this one out. We've had a pick 6 even. I want to hold them to 7 points just because I think that says a lot more about us as a team, but that didn't happen, so we're just going to have to accept the fact that we had a pretty rough day even though we were playing at home. These are the types of games that make sure he doesn't win the Heisman, and Coastal Carolina is another team that's tied with us at the top of our division. I feel like once we get through this one, our schedule has to open up, but looking at it, maybe not, because we have to play against our rivals and then on the road at Arkansas State, so it's just going to stay a little bit more competitive. I don't like that though, and I hate the fact that Jared Smith actually chose Auburn. Now I have to scout all these quarterbacks that are still available. Surely we can get at least one. And after scouting 4 players, it's clear to me that we have 2 options to choose between because they're both gyms, but Dallas Wow has 93 speed. That would honestly be great, but now it's time to go on the road to play on this teal field. On our first drive, things have been going pretty well like they have all season, and that should be caught. So now we're like half a yard away from getting the touchdown. It should be clear by now, if we get off to a good start, we're probably just going to run away with the game as we go on because we're such a hard offense to stop, and going into the 4th quarter, it's over. Now looking at the top 25, we're non-existent at number 14, and I think that's just a team builder glitch, though we're going to keep on trying to run it down their throats. There's been a couple hiccups, but I've gotten so used to these Sunbelt games just being blowouts, and I really hope this is what the score looks like versus Western Kentucky. They're 2-4. This is probably the worst that they've ever been before we've played them, and we have signed the 5-star gym running back. We're about to get this 5-star gym safety as well. I'm done with recruiting though. I'm ready to take on the Hilltoppers, and all it's taken for our offense to be humbled is facing off against a rival. Of course they've kept it close. We should still be able to end the half with our first points of the game right here, but I'll be the first to say I'm not happy we're only up 7-3. It's a good thing that our defense plays so well. They're just running it on 3rd and long, but we actually missed the extra point, which is why I cannot be simming it, and they've just boxed Nick Smith on this play for a pick. All of a sudden in the 3rd quarter, we would be losing to the Hilltoppers. That's right, we're losing to them, and we had to punt it back to them. We're on this 3rd and 7. They're gonna route up our corner for the first down. I'm starting to really question how good we are as a team. They're going for a halfback screen on 3rd and long. We should be able to hold them to a field goal, but they decided that wasn't good enough for them. They're gonna go for it on 4th down, and they're gonna pick it up. Western Kentucky's actually putting on a masterclass versus us right now, and we better start to lock in because this would not be a cute game to lose. It all comes down to this 3rd and goal where they're gonna get stuffed, and I bet they shank this kick too. They're gonna miss it to the right. I always miss in that position, so I can normally expect the computer to miss too. Nick Smith drops it, and what's worked for us against every other team all season is not working against Western Kentucky. That's what's been so confusing. But this halfback screen's going to lead to a big pickup. I have been waiting for something like that. We also have the out route on 3rd down, but I threw it late. And I can't believe we're actually settling for a field goal right here, but I'm confident we can hit this one as we do. This puts us in a really bad spot though if they're able to get into field goal range. And it seems like they're going to, unless we can get a huge stop. They're scrambling. We got to hit them. It's really not looking good for us. 3rd and 1 with the bubble. We are going to box them. But this has been a disgusting showing from Southern Kentucky. And in future seasons, I will never take this rivalry game too lightly again. We're going to have to step up with Devontae Newcomb, and this could be a huge run from our quarterback. That play alone just makes me want to keep the ball in his hands. We're also going to step up on this one because I felt like it was our best option. And it hasn't been pretty, but we have proven that we can close out games this season as well. That's a big run. I'm even going to try to get into the end zone at the last second just to save us, because you never know when a field goal could be blocked or something, but that works too. If they somehow managed to get into field goal range in a short period of time, I would have been devastated. devastated. But our defense has done their job. They have one final shot to try and reach the end zone. There's simply no way they were going to, even though their quarterback threw it very far. And we're a little bit upset because we only won this game by 2 points, but we're still going to be 8-0. Going into week 10, we're still on pace to land Dallas Wiley, the quarterback, and then looking at some of these other 4 and 5 stars, it's going to come down to the wire. Either way, though, I'm super happy with how the class is shaping up. At the moment, we're sitting at number 13 in the country, and we're not recruiting any bums, any 3 stars this year. We're playing Arkansas State next, who from the looks of it is one of the final teams that could ruin our chance at making the conference championship. But Marshall's also sitting at 4-1 in conference play. We have to play them on the road, so I don't know why they're playing this well. All I'm gonna say is last year I was worried about Arkansas State, but they did absolutely nothing versus us. And I am not worried in the slightest. I'm sure we can pick this team apart in 5 wide, which is what we're gonna do on our first drive. Assuming we're gonna make the playoffs though, I have to remember to not sim a single extra point again, because it's not gonna cost us in a game where we're literally blowing them out and it's already over before halftime, but it could against a big school, and if that's man-to-man coverage, we have another tutty. Nick Smith has literally been doing whatever he wants, and I don't get how Arkansas State always has such a good season before we play them and destroy them. I mean, this is great for Devontae Newcomb. He bounced back after last week, and I'd given up on seeing him in the Heisman watch, but with 4 touchdowns, Nick Smith is up to number 2. He's playing for the number 8 team in the country, so he could literally win it. And the only conference opponent still in our way in the Sun Belt is Marshall. Just looking around in recruiting, we still don't have any major changes, but a lot of these prospects on our board right now are coming on a visit versus James Madison. So all we have to do is make sure we don't choke here. That really shouldn't be too difficult to do. And with those stats, I'm really surprised Nick Smith is second for Heisman voting right now, but we're going to give him a chance to put up great numbers by bombing it over the top on the first play, and he catches it. We ended up finishing that drive off for a touchdown. We're probably about to get one right here with him, and that's what would really inflate his stats, but instead we're going to run it with Duke Fowler. The name's been forgotten for a bit, but he is still on the team, and I'm going to try to thread the needle to end this first half, but that safety is going to play it. I think the hardest part about adapting to this game for me is you could have made that throw on NCAA Football 14, but why did that cornerback run away from the football? Maybe fade routes are just that glitchy, like he got beat off the line. It should have been a touchdown, but he didn't even make an effort to stop that. The more I play this, I realize even on Heisman, when you have a good team, you can sling the rock a ton. I mean, that's what we've done all season, and you just have to have a big lead on the road so the home field advantage doesn't rattle you. Those are the games that worry me the most, like this one on the road at Marshall could go south, so we better come out prepared because we're going to miss the playoffs again if we don't go undefeated. Even with 254 receiving yards, I also have a hard time believing that we're going to beat out a quarterback for the Heisman, so my only goal is going to be to win games. We have signed the 5-star free safety. We also got this tight end and 2 more 4 stars down here. James Martino is a possession tendency, but it looks like he's more of a tight end than a wide receiver. And I've gotten bored, so I've just started to go after as many 4 stars as I can possibly find. You never know when one of these guys is going to pan out. This receiver's 6'4" with 92 speed, and his dev trait could be good, but let's get this game over with. Well, just approaching halftime, I can tell that this isn't going to be as easy as I thought, though we're about to get a huge play to our running back. And I wish EA showed this, but in our touchdown celebration, we shot a bow and arrow straight at the student section. The way that this team can just make a huge play out of nothing is what makes it so good, though they might be able to pick up this 3rd down. And here's the thing, they should not be pressing Nick Smith because we're going to be able to start this 3rd quarter with a huge play. We got our stop, we got the ball back, and now we should have a touchdown here too. It took a bit to get the ball over there, but those fade routes are undefeated, and no matter how hard they fight, I simply don't think they have what it takes to handle us. We'd end it with another touchdown. They never got the ball back. And talk about taking care of business right there. Nick Smith really helped us, winning Offensive Player of the Week. And all that's left on our schedule now in the regular season is Old Dominion. Anything less than winning by like 20 points in this game would be a disappointment. But we're still not perfect. No matter how well we play, there's still a lot of mistakes that happen. That's what really worries me about getting into the college football playoffs. I'm afraid some team's going to figure us out like Western Kentucky did. And a couple mistakes later, we're going to be down 21-0. In the Sun Belt, I can throw pick after pick and still win these games because of how much better we are. But there's no way I can thread the needle like that against some better opponents. By the time the 4th quarter's rolled around, you can see that we have just handled this one easily. And I'm starting to wonder if I should take this minimum play clock time and move it down to like 15 seconds. For the rest of the seasons in this rebuild, that would make everything go by quicker. And not that I don't love dominating all these games, but more than half of them were over before the second half even started. It looks like in the conference championship, we'll be playing Southern Miss. And at the moment, we're number 4 in the country, so if we win, we have a 1st round bye no matter what. There's basically no way some of these teams around the top 10 jump us if we come out on top. And we need that 1st round bye, but we should also focus on feeding Nick Smith for a Heisman trophy. Now, of the remaining 4 stars we're going after, we're not going to get all of them, but we did sign Steve Diaz at quarterback and then this right tackle too. too. So those additions along with quarterback Dallas Wiley should give us even more depth at pretty much every position. This is basically going to be the Nick Smith game if they give us a one-on-one look, but Devontae has sailed it. So on our next drive down the field, I'm not even going to try to throw with him. I'm just going to run it in. I really want Nick Smith to win the Heisman, especially if they keep being this aggressive. They're running too much man-to-man coverage. But somehow, as we approach the end of the third quarter, this is the final play. We're losing 14-17. How on earth are we trailing? I'd be embarrassed, but there's still enough time for us to move it down the field and make up for a bad 3 quarters. But we're not going to be able to force feed the ball to Nick Smith the way I would like us to. We have pretty much just abandoned the run this season. Those throws can't be off target. We're going to beat them deep here. And one thing I've picked up on this season from going against it and using it on defense is cover 6 is terrible. It always seems to give up huge plays. They're on a 4th down. There is no way they're converting. And this one's over. All we have to do is punch it into the end zone. Now you're probably noticing Sharif's out there on the field, but that's because Jimmy ruptured his disc. So Sharif Lindsay, the guy that was supposed to be a quarterback, is now in at running back. And he should have just iced this game for us. That's what really did it. We're going to win this one 31-17. We even got more points after that. And it's nice to win the Sun Belt in back-to-back seasons. That win was what it took to get Dallas Wiley to want to play for us. And it also awarded our defensive coordinator with the Coordinator of the Year award. But the Heisman Trophy goes to TCU's quarterback. I really think that's fair though. Even though Nick Smith put up some good numbers, it wasn't Heisman worthy. And I also have to mention what Ben did coming off of his redshirt year, but rushing wise, you could definitely see where we took a hit. Newcomb had 4 on the ground, then 43 touchdowns through the air, so he played out of his mind. And it's not like he's anything better than an 86 overall. He never maxed out all of his stats. It is safe to say though that this is the best year of his career. He cut out interceptions, he took half as many sacks, and we've gotten ourselves a first round bye in the playoffs. Because it's early National Signing Day, we can see that John Friend is an elite 96 speed 5-star free safety as his dev trait. I mean, we have an elite on Greg Hatch too with 94 speed. And anything after that's just going to be the cherry on top. We have a third elite. We're just 5 players deep. And one of these fast receivers was elite as well. I really scouted well during this class. We have an elite on another 5-star. And at this point, it doesn't even feel special or rare with how often it's popped up for us. Unfortunately, Diaz is only star dev, but that's better than Dallas at impact, so we'll see which one of them we start. Moving forward, we have lots of options in this quarterback room. We might even be able to start one of these freshmen next year. But I guess we could also win a championship in this season. I don't want to write that off yet. I really don't see that happening, but if we do, I'll make sure I play through at least another year. Because it took us 6 seasons, but I am finally having a lot of fun with Southern Kentucky. We're averaging 37 points per game, and Liberty's only an 83. It's weird to see this team in the college football playoffs. I guess we could have technically been here last year. But now there's no question. We definitely deserve it, and I just hope that we don't lose immediately. Liberty's going to be as easy as it gets for us, but they're already moving it down the field against us. And even if they're only getting a field goal, I'm a bit intimidated. It's been a while since we've had to play against a good opponent. You have to face them way differently. And it's not like Lindsey's a bad running back, but using a backup is not ideal for the playoffs. I might have to go to him on this 3rd down if we want to pick this up, though they instantly got in pressure. And I have a throw in mind up the seam that has worked for us in conference play, but it's not going to here. I'm starting to realize that this could go very poorly for us. If they caught that, I would have been upset. Because I was stunned that they even threw that ball in the first place. That was so disrespectful. We had 2 fantastic defenders over there, but we missed that last throw, so it was about time that we hit one. The corner route to Suni Lou is for a touchdown. That caught me so off guard. I didn't even say his name right. I definitely saw the read super late. And on 3rd and 8, they're going to have to thread the needle versus us, but they just did. That should have been an interception against Liberty, but instead it led to a touchdown, so the pressure's on us to end this first half, and what a run. Now I'm going to see if we're able to beat them deep with our fastest wide receiver. That corner just can't keep up with Nick Smith. It is good to know that. I'm going to put him in a lot of situations like that going forward. So number 15, just know that I am keeping a very close eye on you. There's a size mismatch and all. On 3rd and 7, they honestly have nowhere to go. And we'll see if the fade route works for us right here. The fade route is going to work for us right here. Ben is gone to the crib. It took playing a little bit more confidently and airing the ball out, but going into this 3rd and 4th quarter, we're in a great spot right now. Lindsey makes a guy miss. And on this play, we have the mismatch that we want with Nick Smith. If we have enough time to get the ball out, I shouldn't have thrown that ball. They got in pressure too quick. Just accepting our fate and taking the sack would have been the better move. Now they're getting a touchdown. And so much for thinking this game's over. They're going to hit us with the jet touch pass where we don't have enough people over there. With another play action, my hope is this time our offensive line can actually pick everybody up enough for us to try and beat them deep with Nick Smith. He actually just held onto that ball. Now we're dancing on him. And I needed that in my life. Right now I'm watching Kentucky play against Georgia in real life, and they've given me hope. But they just went down for the first time today, and I'm afraid that it's going to be over. We're not pulling off the upset. We still got to make sure we close this one out with Southern Kentucky too. Their quarterback is going to get the first down for them, and I just don't see them running the ball down on the goal line. Once they got into this position, we've been able to lock up because there's only so many passing plays they can go with, which is why they're settling for a field goal to make it a one-possession game. One first down ends this game though, and they are way too aggressive for stopping the run. I thought we were going to have this all day, and we're still going to come back to it with Nick Smith. Having play action is such a scary thing to do in this game. They never pick up their block, and we can pretty much just take the rest of the clock with us, so I feel like there's no way they do anything with 5 seconds left. This one should be over. They might not even get off the throw, and even though they did, we're going to add an interception maybe. It would have been nice, but what's important is we're moving on to the semifinals, and to be honest, it's only because of Nick Smith. He was so clutch for us in this game. Now we've drawn Ole Miss in the next round, and all of our success means we've lost our offensive coordinator. We keep on building somebody up for them to leave us. I guess this will do for a motivator. But after this year, I expect our offense to take a step back. Ole Miss is going to be an 86 overall, and we might just find ourselves in the national championship game. Going into this game though, I just witnessed Kentucky fall by 1 point to Georgia. There were a lot of things they could have done to win that game. I'm upset, and I think I'm just gonna have to lock in and take it all out on Ole Miss, who decided to 31 try and guard Nick Smith from like underneath. We're going to score a touchdown on our third play of the game. I'm just not in the mood to deal with us if we're going to be losing. We're going to hold them on third down. And with Sharif Lindsey, the backup out there at running back, we're going to try reverse play, see if we can outrun this Ole Miss DB, but he catches us. Oh well, it's now 3rd and 6. Man-to-man coverage on Nick Smith simply isn't going to work. But they're saying he was out of bounds, and this is the type of aggressiveness I'm playing with today. I want to win this game by 40. That was not the right decision right there. We should have just taken our 3, but we're going to pitch this. I'm hoping Sharif Lindsey can get into the end zone, and I'm afraid we might still have to settle for a field goal, though the jet touch pass gets us in. The real spark that Southern Kentucky needed is going to come from me watching Kentucky football. We're holding them on this third down too, and that was a perfect first quarter. They've done almost nothing offensively, and this is what it looks like to watch a Kentucky team that can actually win football games. We're going to pitch it with the option. We're going to pick up the first, and here on 3rd and 9, I'm hoping we have blocks long enough to deliver a dot, which we did. We are somehow playing better against Ole Miss than we did against Liberty last week. But unfortunately for us, that hot start is not going to seal the win because they're still in this in the 4th quarter. I still feel like we have control of the game, but it's definitely a lot closer. I think we're able to get into the end zone right here with the reverse, and at least that's going to take us back to having a 2-possession lead. Now I'm hoping we stop them on this 4th and 1 where we sent in an instant blitz, but we don't. And that's my fault right there. I just hate facing off against the spread formation, but they're going to throw us the football. We're going to take a knee in the end zone. What are you doing? I was trying so hard to just stay in, but the game forced us to take it out. And this is how we get a safety or something stupid, though Nick might have them beat deep. He tried to take off from the line, and these corners are just better. We're still in a pretty good spot. I'm just not sure if we actually have what it takes to win a championship. I mean, we only have to win one more game. But after they scored a touchdown, there's not even a guarantee we make it that far, and they didn't go for the onside kick. They have 3 timeouts left, so we have to pick up a first down here, and we're getting a couple. But we might be throwing the ball on 3rd down, and if we actually choke this game, I'm going to be so upset. It is 3rd and 10. They are playing pretty aggressively right here, which means we should have had Nick beat, but there was clear PI on him, so he couldn't get a clean release, and now we're going to have to trust our defense. We've actually choked this one away. Nothing changes for Southern Kentucky, even here in Season 6. I mean, all it takes is them making one mistake. I could get to their quarterback right here. He tried to make us miss. And we'll see what they come up with on 4th and 7. They're going to have that streak. We're going to hit stick. And thankfully, we didn't blow a 21-0 lead. Southern Kentucky is headed to the national championship. And honestly, what a year for the Stallions. It looks like we've drawn the Nittany Lions for the national championship. And after seeing they beat Georgia 45-14, maybe I should be concerned. Their only loss this year came in a conference championship game against Michigan. It looks like they are an 88. And just in case we do win this in only 6 years, remember, I'll be simming at least through a 7th season, maybe even an 8th season to see how all these guys develop. If we lose this game though, we'll just keep on playing how we have. And I guess I need to explain why this is the finale, why we're stopping at an episode 4, and instead of going season by season, I just wanted to play until I won a championship with this episode. As we're flying down the field, I'd say the first thing mainly has to do with performance. Just off the rip, I can tell they're not going to perform as well as other videos, but I take take full responsibility for that. I think it is my fault why they're not performing as well, and there's a bunch of other reasons I'm about to go into. So with getting out 3 videos a week, with each one taking like 15 hours minimum just off of filming, I feel like I have to sort of rush certain things that I don't want to. One of those is this team builder series, but last year when I did it with Grand Rapids, I didn't have to rush. The reason is because I did that during the football offseason when I was only posting twice a week and I didn't have to push everything out. I was able to take a lot more time making sure the stories were there, I was able to put more dedication into the program, and I was really invested in that team. Well, this series has just felt like checking off a box. My first mistake was putting the team in Kentucky. I've done way too many things in Kentucky on this channel now, and I love my roots, but at some point I have to give other states, schools, and teams an opportunity. We're going to get the interception in the red zone. This is actually huge because they were on pace to at least get a field goal out of that drive, and now we have it back. Anyway, I don't really like how this team came out. I'm not a big fan of the colors. The logo and everything could have been better. So this feels like it's not the perfectly polished product that I want to deliver for you all, that you all deserve out of me. I mean, I want to make the best content possible at all times. Ben is gone for a touchdown. We might win this championship. So yeah, the main reason the series is stopping is just based off of performance. I felt like I wasn't doing a good enough job with the videos, so I will take full credit for it, even if there is some truth that episodic content doesn't perform as well on YouTube. On top of that, I feel like showing every single play might not have been the best decision this time around. I like the videos I do because they're quick and you get so much in just one sitting, but this is a complete switch up from that, even though we did it with Grand Rapids and it did perform really well. With that in mind, once the offseason comes around, I think I want to do another team builder series. I'm curious to see if I can get one to perform even better. I just don't like how this one's going to have to end. How did we complete that pass? I wasn't just going to never post it again. I wanted to at least give it a send-off that it deserved. But I am aware that I might be letting some people down in the process because of how I'm doing it, and I do apologize for that. I just want to make the best content I can. Posting this once a week means there's other video ideas and content ideas I can't necessarily try because I have to get this up. And when episode 2 and episode 3 are underperforming anything else that I'm putting up, I know by like 7 or 8 episodes, no one's going to be watching. I know there's still a dedicated group of you all that will, but at some point YouTube's algorithm is just going to show it to less people. And that's what really sucks. If I wanted to draw out this series and spend a lot of time on it, I have to think about the main channel and performance too. That's why I'm hoping to get the time to experiment on my second channel to drop additional content where I could do a long series. And all I can say is that's the best the first half could have gone for us. One thing I do want to make sure I am very clear about is I am so thankful for all of you all that have watched it, that have especially gotten to this point. We're getting an interception, and just how much growth that's happened during the release of College Football 25. You all have blown my mind. I want to make sure I'm continuing to grow as a creator though, always making better content, so if there's ever any suggestions, please make sure to leave them down below. I have some concepts that are going to be a ton of fun on this game. But that was a little disappointing. We just had 2 bad throws in a row versus Penn State. At least one of them could have been accurate. At least the punt is going to continue to roll back. And I think I've pretty much hit everything I wanted to say about why the series is going to be stopping here in the finale. But I haven't necessarily touched on some of the IRL stuff I want to try and get out to later on in the future. I'm starting to get some really cool opportunities I want to make sure I can document for you all. So I'm hoping I can start to experiment with some newer ideas again as well. Make sure I'm continuing to have fun while doing this YouTube thing. I mean, how are they still up? I really do apologize that during this launch of College Football 25, some of the concepts that I've posted have been pulled straight from the old game. But I'm assuming that if you all wanted to see it on that, then you also would want to see it on the new one. We're getting another interception. I mean, our defense has just locked down in this game. B might take that back too. I will say, I am aware that I've definitely hit a point at some of these videos where I'm so focused on the challenge, so focused on the concept, that I haven't necessarily been coming from the perspective of a creator as much sometimes, and just like a guy that's just talking and talking. That's why I'm so excited for some of the concepts I have planned, because I think I'm going to genuinely have a really fun time doing them. And maybe I gotta fix my sleep schedule a bit too. Recording at 4 a.m. is never going to make for the best content. Here on 4th and 3, we have a chance to get another stop, pretty much just ending this game, but they do catch it. And I will say, one thing that's weird about being a creator now is 2 years ago I would have been pumped up about 5,000 views. Now I see it differently. They get into the end zone. And it truly has amazed me how far you all have taken the channel. I never thought it'd be this big. I went to North Texas a couple weeks ago, and that was also super eye-opening. I was able to meet a ton of you all, take a bunch of pictures. And I really wish I would have had to capture it for a video, because I played against some North Texas football players as well. Like, there was a ton of stuff that went on. The field access and all, I literally saw every inch of that stadium, has just made me realize that any part of this journey I need to share with you all. You you all put me in this spot. And after a bunch of yapping, we have won the national championship with Southern Kentucky. I still want to sim through another year, see how we would have done, because I really wasn't expecting it to be this short. I thought we had at least a couple other seasons. There we are lifting the trophy though. We have done it. And who would have thought when we recruited Devontae Newcomb, he would be the one bringing us a championship. He literally had such a legendary career. He finished with 53 passing touchdowns, and rushing stat-wise, don't forget about the 10 he had last year. Now it's time to say goodbye to a lot of these players though, including Nick Smith. We also have to check out his stats as a career because he was a big part of this championship. And this kid's from Bowling Green, Kentucky himself. He could have gone to Western Kentucky. He didn't even max out and everything. These last 2 seasons with him have literally just been incredible. And I'm surprised he went all the way in the 3rd round, and also that our quarterback is nowhere to be seen in the NFL draft. With school grades like this now, we should be able to get about anybody. And to my surprise, not that many transfers are actually interested in coming to our school. We ended up not adding a single player to this class during that period, though I'm not sure if we need it, because signing only 14 players still landed us a top 11 class. Going into season number 7, this team would be a 91 overall. It's probably better than what we had last year. And I bet we can bump it up a bit too, just by pouring our remaining coach points into some tactician things. The main question would have been though, who we start at quarterback, and I think you have to go with true freshman Steve Diaz. He's our only guy with star development, and he has almost no skill caps on some of these stats. So I decided that's who we're going to roll with a schedule that's not very difficult at all. We don't have a single ranked team on it. Like I said, we already won a championship, so just for the YouTube retention's sake, I'm going to sim to the end of the year. And I want you all to keep in mind, this is a 91 overall roster in the Sun Belt. I have no words at all. We lost to Kentucky, we beat Louisville, but we lost so many conference games, I guess a freshman quarterback's not going to perform. So what a weird record for the Southern Kentucky series to end on. It looks like Steve might have gotten hurt at some point, and we also had to put in Banugu, who did not throw the ball very well. While Sharif Lindsay probably was our best offensive player because no receiver stood out. I thought we would have at least gotten to play in the playoffs or something, but we didn't make it to this part. That is going to do it for the Southern Kentucky series though. We're going to wrap it up here. I don't like to see the series end this way. But performance-wise, I'm taking responsibility. I have to do better. I hope you all aren't disappointed in me, and the next time I do return to a type of series in Dynasty, I promise it's going to be so much better. Also, I really want to toy with the idea of starting a Road to Glory career as a wide receiver, but I'm just terrified of doing series right now, seeing how they're performing across YouTube. I guess I'll end this with, I just seriously love y'all. Thank you all for so much other support. I'm 21, I'm young, I feel like I still got a lot to learn in this game, but I'm also hoping I have a long time in this space so I can keep on getting better.